everyone. Welcome to the second video for week 1 of the I Am Online experience. Before I even introduce our guests, as you guys start to pop on and see this, I just have to say, apparently I'm a magnet for technological difficulties. I just want you all to know I kind of think of it, you know that sticky fly tape that you hang out in summer that catches flies? I'm like sticky fly tape for technological problems. So hopefully right now people are starting to pop on. We're going to get into the content in a minute. I'm going to wait for a couple of minutes while people jump on here and join us in this video. But anyway,
it just means that we love you so much that we are willing to put up with the technical difficulties.
At least for about 2 to 3 minutes, and then people will disappear. Hey, Rebecca. Rebecca's here, so I know it's working. I know.
Yay!
Yay! All right.
I see that we have 6 people on, so people are coming in. Yay.
Okay. So once again, welcome to week 1 of the I Am Online experience. This is your Wednesday night Identity Unplugged special guest interview. I have been so looking forward to this because, to me, this is the guts of what we're working through. This is the unplugged, honest conversations about how we get grounded in who we are and live from a core of confidence. So before I go any further, though, I have to introduce our special guest. And I'm calling her a special guest, but really, truly, she's like my sister. So it feels like I'm introducing a family member. So here with me today is the one and only author and speaker, Kathi Lipp. Hey there, Kathi.
I love you, and I'm so excited to be on with your people.
My people. And you know what's really funny is they're all probably very sick of me talking about you because I love you. And we're both kind of obnoxious about how much we chat about each other. And so I'm sure both of our audience are like, nauseating. But of course, you had to be my first guest for this I Am Online experience. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Kathi, she's written, how many books have you written now? 12?
It's ridiculous.
15? 16?
17?
17.
Yeah.
Holy cow. I write a book a year, so I would have had to start writing when I was about 10 in order to make that happen. That's ridiculous. All right, so
oh my goodness.
So she's written 17 books. One of her most well-known books. In fact, she has basically she has an entire ministry based on this one book. Is Clutter Free. Right here, everybody see Clutter Free.
It's my heart book. I have to say, it is my heart book.
It is, and you are so good at it. She has Clutter Free Academy, Clutter Free books. She does Clutter Free events. Highly recommend getting that. Her clutter work is so efficient that I almost got rid of some of my children.
Hey, we're just here to serve. We're just here to serve.
So anyway, it's so much fun to have her here with me, and we're going to get right down into the conversation. Before we do that, I want to remind all of you that the point of these Facebook Lives is for you to interact with our conversations. We want to hear from you. We want to know what your questions are. So go ahead and leave your questions while Kathy's talking. I'm going to be scanning through some of the live comments and pulling out some of your questions to ask her. I also have some questions myself. But the point is for you guys to interact with this. The more that you interact with what we're talking about, the more fun it is. Oh, by the way, I almost forgot. I told you all to come prepared with your beverage of choice. Do you have your beverage of choice?
I do. It's iced tea.
What kind of iced tea? Black? Green?
It is black iced tea with a little bit of lemon. So It makes me super happy.
You're living on the edge.
I know. I'm a California girl. This is what we do. It is not sweet tea, however.
Well,
I just got back from the Midwest where when you order tea, they assume it's sweet tea. And I'm sorry, Southerners. I just can't get on board. I just can't do it.
Well, I'm a woman of a certain age. At some point, too much sugar is not good for my teeth or my hips. So whatever, let's not even talk about that. I have tea as well, except my tea is South African rooibos tea because I happen to be a huge fan of rooibos tea.
You're super fancy.
I don't know if I'm super fancy. I just happen to love it. So shout out to all my South African friends. If you guys, y'all are probably asleep right now, so you're not on this video. But when you watch it tomorrow, just know that I'm I'm feeling the South African love today.
Yeah, we had one woman who said that she's drinking pumpkin latte. I just saw that come up. And somebody asked where I was because it didn't look like we're in the same room.
We're not in the same room. So no. Kathi is in San Jose, California. I assume you're home now, right? You're not.
Yeah, I am.
So she's in San Jose. I'm in Denver, Colorado. But okay, what you guys probably don't know, and we really do need to stop the bunny trails and get to the topic at some point.
Probably.
But Kathi and I do a podcast together every single week called Communicator Academy, where it's basically a really honest podcast for speakers and writers and people who want to develop a ministry through speaking and writing and marketing. And we talk about all kinds of things related to what you and I do every day.
Well, and it was so funny. I was on a phone call with another author today. He goes, I love Communicator Academy because he goes, I know I'm going to learn something. And at some point, you guys are going to be slightly inappropriate. And I'm like, I didn't realize that we had such a reputation. But
we do have a reputation. And that makes me, I don't know if I have a wicked streak, but that makes me secretly delighted that they know that occasionally we will go off the rails. And Jesus will pull us back and we'll be fine.
People are asking, where do you find Communicator Academy? And somebody said that they listen to every episode, and that's awesome. And then we have a lot of water drinkers on here. I've been reading through everything. But if you go to communicatoracademy.com, you can find it there. And you know what? Even if you're not a writer or a speaker, it's just pretty funny. So we'd love to have you on there.
Absolutely. And we have a blast. So it's like part serious work and part comedy, quite frankly. I mean, it really is a little bit ridiculous, but you will have a great time. All right, so let's dive into the topic.
Let's do it.
So this is week 1 of the I Am Online experience. And as you all know, we've been walking through the 6 parts of our story. And I told y'all that the 6 parts of our story are really following the narrative of the Bible, the narrative of the gospel. And part 1 is creation. The fact that you and I have been created. We've been formed by an intentional God who has great love and affection for us. That means we are not a mistake or an accident, that we are intentionally here because God willed it, because God decided that you and I would breathe breath of life and actually, okay, I have to pause.
Yeah,
Lisa
gets the award.
Dubois, did I say that right? Dubois? Lisa, you're drinking a Milky Way milkshake. I almost want to block you right now. There's a part of me that really wants to block you because that's not fair.
We're both a little bitter with our tea here.
I know. I have my calorie-free tea, and I really want a Milky Way milkshake. Okay, so it's all about us being created. So, Kathi, I'm going to dive right into the deep ends of the pool with you right from the beginning. Today's question on our Facebook group page. So we have between 700 and 800 people participating in the Facebook group conversation. The question today was, on a scale from 1 to 10, how loved do you feel right now?
Ooh. And I do want to answer somebody who asked me if I've read your book. And yes, I have read both your books, and I love Michelle's writing. We could not be more opposite in our communication styles, and I think that's why I love her so much. How loved do I feel right now? It almost feels unfair and selfish to say, but I'm hitting a 9. I just feel like God has been so sweet and so gracious to me, and I think part of that is because it's been a hard couple of weeks for everybody in the United States, and I mean around the world, and I think the harder times are, sometimes the more deeply I click into God's love. And I'm very, very fortunate that I have a husband who does not stop expressing his love. And I've got some pretty amazing friends that I just recently got to spend time with and felt exquisitely cherished by. So, it could be a hard 4 next week, but right now I'm sitting at a 9.
Okay, so right now you're at a 9, but you and I have talked enough because you and I do real life together that it wasn't always that way in your life.
Oh gosh, no.
So in your early years, in your 20s and 30s, you were probably giving yourself a lower number on that scale.
Oh, absolutely. And my husband does have a single brother. Jennifer, call me. So I did. I'm somebody. I've been overweight since the day I was born. I came out at 9 pounds, 12 ounces. Okay.
You're killing it.
I know. So, like I have been big my whole life, and I felt like I had to earn people's love through other ways than just by being myself. And I didn't have a relationship with God until I was 15 years old. And so, to go back 15 years and kind of recover from all of that. And Michelle, you know this, on top of the weight issues, I had a dad who was addicted to porn. Yeah. And, that just messes with a girl's soul. It really does. And so all of that. And then I married somebody who had tremendous struggles and went through a divorce and was sure that I was never going to be loved in that way again. And, I would love to say that wasn't important to me. All I needed was God. But, I will say that God became incredibly more real to me during those times. It's pain that often drives us closer in our relationship with him. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, and I still struggle with some of those things from my childhood, my young adult, but I don't want to stay stuck there. I want to keep pursuing God's love. And some days I do a really good job of it. And some days I reject every sign that he, exquisitely loves me.
Yeah.
But it's so easy to let the noise of the world be that barrier between us and God's love.
Okay, so in a moment we're going to get to your strategies for staying grounded. Yeah. So when the noise of the world. But before we get to that, and I told you ahead of time that I was going to put you on the spot. But yeah, I want to know, and this is a hard question. On your not so good days, the days when all of the self-doubt is hitting and it's just a bad day.
Yeah.
What's your form of crazy? All right. And the reason I'm calling it crazy, because when I have bad days, bad identity days, insecure days, I have some pretty crazy making behavior that I respond to that. And I'm sure some of you who are watching in the comments, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? When you have those not so good days and you find yourself in, just poor coping behaviors, poor coping strategies, and it's your own version of crazy. So what's your version of crazy on those bad days?
Well, I think a couple of different things. And, you asked me about this and I feel like it's changed, more things have come up, which is so interesting. I lose my good habits. So I don't take good care of myself. I don't go for a walk. Mm-hmm. I eat junk. I think of all the reasons why I am unlovable, because, I know there's a list. And then, especially when people try to get close to me, I'm an extrovert, but I've noticed through my years, I've gotten more and more closed off, and I start to reject, I start to want people to prove their love to me.
And that's interesting.
Why can't I accept at face value that that you love me? And so, I do, like Helen just posted, I withdraw. And sometimes I withdraw and that's a healthy thing. It's coping, it's refreshing, it's restoring. And other times it's just sinking into a lot of stupid TV and putting noise on so I don't have to hear stuff.
When I was writing the book, I was thinking about the ways that we respond to our moments of self-doubt and insecurity. And I came up with most responses fall into one of two categories, either isolation or perspiration. So we either exhaust ourselves trying to feel better. So we just go and we run laps trying to make people love us or to do things to make us feel better. Or we have the isolation where we absolutely shut down and refuse anybody's attempts at love. Even when we read the Bible or read scripture, we even reject the truth about how God feels about us. So it's this perspiration or isolation thing.
Yeah. And I see when I'm going into the hustle. Now, there are times when the busy is purposeful, but then there's the times where busy is distracting. Mm-hmm. And when I'm not feeling great about myself, the busy is distracting.
And it's interesting when we try to numb I mean, we are so quick to numb discomfort, right? I mean, we don't like to be uncomfortable. So
I hate it.
I hate discomfort.
We talked about this. You look at the Enneagrams, and I'm number 7. The thing I hate most in the world is pain. I hate it so much.
Okay, everybody needs to know that Kathi would be delighted if every day could be like a party. Let's just have a party every single day. It would be so much fun.
Who wouldn't be like that? Hard work, grit.
That's so funny. This is why I love you, because I need 7s in my life. But the truth is not everything's a party. And some days we feel ick just because we feel ick. I mean, it's purely that was your dog, wasn't that Jake?
So sorry, that's Jake.
Hi, Jake.
He's talking to the neighbors. I'm so sorry.
No, Jake is dealing with an identity crisis today, and he needed to assert himself and get some attention.
He really did. He really did.
But yeah, it's a very interesting process for all of us as we try to understand that sometimes we feel insecure just because our body has some kind of weird biologic thing going on. Not always is it circumstantial. Sometimes it's purely physiological. But to allow ourselves to be uncomfortable without spiraling into these desperate behaviors to try to feel better, which is so tough. Okay, so now let's go to your strategies. So when you're having a not so good day and you see yourself kind of spiraling down that familiar path, what do you do to basically course correct?
And that's what Becca just asked on the chat is, what do you do to not go there? And so here's the thing. I don't think you're ever going to stop wanting to go there, but I think you can recognize it sooner. And so I think for me, habits are very, very, very important. For somebody who tends to think, oh, I could just skip that, I could just do that. And putting things into my life that force me to be a little bit healthier. Jake is a great example. If Jake doesn't get a walk in the morning and the evening, there are consequences, and that's my carpet. And so, and then, accountability. I have my my Fitbit on. So walking is huge for me. Walking can kind of determine whether, because I pray when I walk or I talk to my husband, and it's so healthy for me. It's a spiritual discipline to go walking. And that may sound crazy to people, but I know you get that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so putting things into place where it's going to be painful for me to miss that walk. Like my accountability partner is going to say, hey, I didn't see that show up for you today. Is everything okay? What's going on for you? And so accountability, routines, and then also not thinking so short term, because when things are painful, I want to close up, I want to retreat, or I want to get busy. But saying, okay, at the end of this week, I had a goal of reading through Ephesians. And I have that up on my calendar, and have I accomplished that? Because I know the combination of activity and God's word and good people in my life is almost 90% of it. And so if I can put those things into place where there's some non-negotiables in my life, it makes a huge difference.
Well, I love how you pointed out 2 different steps. The first is to recognize the signs when you're starting to go that direction. So to recognize it sooner. I've even gone so far, y'all get to see the real me. I've even gone so far to get an index card like this one, and I will write on it, when you start to do this and feel this way, pay attention. To write down the signs when I'm starting to go down that old pathway. And then on the back side of that index card, I give myself 5 things you could do that's different and healthy instead of going down the old pathway. And that's pretty much what you've been talking about, is identifying early the signs of self-doubt and insecurity. Basically, all this is, my friends, is recognizing the lies of the enemy. I mean, recognizing it ahead of time, catching yourself when you're starting to go down that path, and then putting in place some intentional strategies like you talked about, your Fitbit, your walking, conversations with friends, to counteract the slide.
Michelle, the other thing I'll point out, and I didn't think about it until right now, but you talked about my book, Clutter Free. And we have a place on Facebook. It's called Clutter Free Academy. And what we have recognized in that group is that when we are starting to spiral, the clutter level goes up in our homes. And that's not true for everybody, but I would say it's probably true for 80% of people.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle's not a clutter person. I don't even know how we're friends.
But, I'm not a clutter person, but if I would flip my computer around right now, my office is the most messy it's ever been in my life.
Right. And sometimes there's day-to-day clutter, which is fine. You're working on a project and it's all going like that. But when you're starting to sit in the clutter, that's when I know I'm spiraling. And so that's when I know there are physical signs all around us when we stop walking, when we stop drinking our water, when we're eating junk. And so, Geraldine says when her cleaning suffers and when there's clutter around, clutter is a physical manifestation of that spiral.
Yes, totally. It's so interesting, isn't it? How, and all of us have different things. So if clutter is not that for you, or, some people sit and watch Netflix like 12 hours a day. I mean, we all have different things, but the key is for each person to identify what's my spiral. Right. What is the pattern that shows that I'm not honoring myself and taking care of myself, that there's something amiss, and simply paying attention to it. Now, what's interesting, and you and I have talked about this before too, is sometimes when we see those patterns, we get caught in this shame place of feeling guilty for getting back in the pattern. But shame doesn't accomplish anything. We just need to recognize it so we can do something different.
Well, and shame is so worthless. Sometimes there's good guilt. Like I'm doing the wrong thing. Mm-hmm. So I need to have some good guilt in my life so I can change that. But shame is useless. Yes. Because all it does is spiral for you and get you to a place where you can't make changes. And so if shame is what's covering you, I feel like everything that we struggle with is fear, guilt, and shame. It's one of those three things that's the root cause. And, when it's shame, that's when you need some intervention for sure. Because we all deal with, shame is useless. Yeah, shame is useless. And what it does, not only does it drag you down, it drags others down with you, because shame will not be by itself.
No,
shame
comes with friends.
Yes, and it needs company. And so what we do is when we're feeling ashamed, we shame other people. And it's just, it's so toxic. And so to start to see that and start to respond to it is the healthiest thing you can do.
I'm so glad you said that. That was actually my next question, is what kind of tie have you seen between how you feel about yourself and how you feel about others? How you respond to yourself and how you respond to others?
Oh, I am so ugly when I am not happy with myself, when I don't have a glimpse of how God sees me. That's when, one, I am bad to myself, and two, I am bad to others. Mm-hmm. And so, what I start to do is I imagine stories of why people are behaving the way they are, why they've made the decisions, why I've been left out. It's so high school. It's just ridiculous.
But all of us are susceptible to slipping back into that because all that is, the high school behavior is just immaturity. And when we haven't come to a place where we can see ourselves the way God sees us and love ourselves the way God loves us, that is immaturity.
Yeah.
True spiritual maturity is being able to see ourselves with full, honest self-awareness as God sees us, in both the good and the bad, and understand that we're loved anyway. That is spiritual maturity.
We're told all the time, and I wrote a book on being brave, for goodness sake. But I think that also we have to recognize our own woundedness, not so that we stay there, but so that we can heal from it. And so, one of the things I feel like is brave is when we can acknowledge what is going wrong and ask for help in that healing. And whether that's a tough conversation with a friend, or whether it's asking for prayer about something that's embarrassed us our whole lives, boy, it's amazing what God can do when we step outside of what's comfortable for us, and we can get to a place of saying, I can't do this on my own, and I need God, and I need others.
Totally. In fact, my blog post today, for those of you who are watching and listening, was all about my best resources for deeper emotional healing. And the whole post has all of my resources for a deeper process toward healing. I encourage you to check it out, michellekashat.com. And on there, one of the big things is asking for help, inviting people into the conversation. And just to affirm all of you who are part of this, the fact that you are doing this I Am Online experience is a huge step towards your own healing and wholeness, because you are choosing to enter into relationship with other people, and for us to link arms and do this journey together. And it's risky. I mean, it's always risky when we do relationship together, because sometimes we'll be misunderstood, and sometimes, you risk getting feelings hurt and all of that. But just because it's hard doesn't mean it's not good. And just because it's uncomfortable sometimes doesn't mean it's not necessary. And so all of us doing this together, this journey together, is a huge piece of how I truly believe God wants to heal us. When we are wounded in relationship, we find healing in relationship. God has always operated that way. And Kathi, you've been a huge part of healing in my life in multiple different ways. Just being able to walk through life with you, it's been such a gift.
It's an honor to be your friend, and it's an honor to be on with here. I love the questions that are coming up and the discussion, and I just think I love that you said, it's hard, but hard is where we grow.
Yep.
And so, that it's very impressive that so many women have said, I'm going in there and I'm going deep, because it's easy to do the easy things, but you guys are going deep, and it's really impressive.
Totally. All right. So I have one final question for you. It's a quick one. What are your go-to Bible verses or mottos or quotes or anything that helps you get grounded again? Do you have a phrase or a verse or anything?
I've got a T-shirt, baby. It says, it's a quote by St. Catherine, and it says, "Be who God meant you to be, and you will set the world on fire." And I love it. And so we are not to be a cheap imitation, a cheap copy of anybody else, but we are to become more of who God has created us to be. And in that, people will find healing through God, through us. People will find restoration. People will find health and love in ways that they can't experience without God. And so when God shows up and we are, say it again. Be who God meant you to be, and you will set the world on fire. St. Catherine. Just one of my favorite quotes of all time. And when we I need that T-shirt, baby. But here's the thing, guys. We know that God has a higher purpose for us, and we know that God wants us to be his hands and feet. And so when we can become more of who he has created us to be, we're unstoppable.
Yes.
And it won't, thank you, Juanita. Thanks so much for putting that up there. I know that God has taken me places that I would not have expected to go before. And I know that God has used me in ways I never signed up for. But when we are fully working in his gifts and we are peeling back that shame and fear and guilt, it's amazing. I love it when I see people who are broken, who are saying, I'm going to heal and I'm going to be used by God. Stunning.
Oh, I love it. I love you, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us and being on this live call today, and for being completely transparent and honest about your journey. That's the kind of stuff, that kind of honesty and transparency is really what makes us all stronger. You and me and everybody else. I'm so grateful for you.
Such an honor to be here. I would do anything just to chat with you. So if we need to do it in front of a couple hundred people, let's make it happen.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. For the rest of you, you can continue to post your questions in the comments. Kathi and I will be coming back, and we'll pop back on Facebook to answer some of those questions as we're able to. So go ahead and keep posting those. Even for those of you who watch the recording later, you're welcome to leave your comments in there. And for the next day or so, we'll keep circling back and answer those questions. Once again, as you guys know, we're finishing up week 1 creation of the I Am Online experience. You should have received emails by now. If you haven't, please send my team a message. We will make sure that you get those. We will be back here on Facebook for another Facebook Live on Monday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. Eastern time, and we will dive into week 2, which is Exodus. In the meantime, stay engaged in our Facebook group. That's where we're having great conversation, lots of great questions and thoughts as we've been going through this week already, and we're only 3 days in. We still have 5.5 weeks to go. But thank you again, Kathi, for being with us. So grateful for you. And to the rest of you, you know I love you. Mwah. I will see you next time.